A Tale of Four Triads. Once upon a time, there lived a man named Mr. Tall. As I'm sure you can guess, he towered over almost everyone he met. This is his son, Tommy Tall, who was just as tall as his father. Mr. Tall's best friend in the whole wide world was a man by the name of Mr. Short, whose name described his looks very accurately. And of course, Mr. Short had a son as well. This is Sammy Short. Even though he's small,
the force is strong with this one.
Despite their differences, these four were nearly inseparable and were always finding themselves on great adventures together. And that is where our story begins. One beautiful day, Mr. Tall, Mr. Short, and their sons were out for a walk. They were having a great time talking and enjoying each other's company until Tommy Tall noticed something off the trail. A pond! What a great way to cool off on this summer day. With a little coaxing from Tommy, it wasn't long before the others joined in. So they swam and they swam and they swam, having a grand old time. But before long, they realized that they had swam the entire day away. How could they get out? Nobody in their group was tall enough or had arms long enough to reach up to the upper bank and pull the others to safety. They were trapped. Then suddenly, they had a great idea. What if they could stand on one another's shoulders to get out of the pond? So they sat there and talked out every possible scenario. What combination would have the best outcome? Should Mr. Tall stand on Mr. Short's shoulders? Should Tommy stand on Mr. Tall's shoulders? Let's go through all the combinations and see what we can come up with. We'll start with the winning combination first, even though that was not the first one that the group thought of. So, what if Tommy Tall stood at the bottom of the pond and Mr. Short stood on top of his shoulders? This is the winning combination. Mr. Short is able to reach the shoreline and Tommy's head is above water. So in this combo, Tall is on the bottom and Short is on the top. What if we gave each type of character a name of an interval that makes up a triad? By now, we know that all triads are made up of major thirds and minor thirds. Since minor thirds are just a major third lowered a half step, we could say that the minor third is short and the major third is tall. So let's call Mr. Tall and his son major thirds and Mr. Short and his son minor thirds for this example. So using the equivalence we just discussed, we can say that for this combination, a major third is on the bottom and a minor third is on top of that. This combination of intervals makes up a major triad. Is this combination stable or unstable? Well, Mr. Short is able to stand on Tommy's shoulders without any trouble, so it is stable. The sound of a major triad is also stable. Is this combination happy or sad? Well, because Tommy is able to keep his head above the water and Mr. Short is able to reach the shoreline in this example, it is happy. The sound of a major triad is also happy. The characteristic sound of a major triad is joyful and victorious, just like the situation pictured here. Now let's try another combination just for fun. What if Mr. Tall stood on Sammy Short's shoulders? Well, now we have a short on the bottom of the pond and a tall on the top. Using our equivalence from earlier, that would mean there's a minor third on the bottom and a major third on top of that. This combination makes up a minor triad. Is this combination stable or unstable? Well, although Sammy Short is no longer with us, Mr. Tall is still able to stand on his shoulders and reach the shoreline, so it is stable. The sound of a minor triad is also stable. Is this combination happy or sad? Well, considering that Sammy has passed on, it can be defined as sad. The sound of a minor triad is also sad. The characteristic sound of a minor triad is lonely or sad. So what if we stacked Mr. Tall and Tommy Tall on top of one another? Now we have a tall on the bottom and a tall on the top. So that gives us a major third on the bottom and a major third on top. This combination makes up an augmented triad. Is this combination stable or unstable? Well, Mr. Tall is so high in the sky now that he cannot keep his balance and is falling back into the pond. Because of this, the combination is unstable. The sound of an augmented triad is also unstable. Is this combination far apart or close together? Well, since Mr. Tall and his son stacked on top of one another are so tall, the combination is far apart. The augmented triad also sounds far apart and open when you listen to it. The characteristic sound of an augmented triad is leaning, reaching, or leading to something else. The last combination possible is if Mr. Short stood on his son's shoulders. Uh-oh. So we've got a short on the bottom and a short on the top. Or we could say we have a minor third on the bottom and a minor third on top. This combination makes up a diminished triad. Is this combination stable or unstable? Well, both shorts are dead, and their bodies will soon be floating on the top of the pond. So I think it's safe to say that it's unstable. The sound of a diminished triad is also unstable. Is this combination far apart or close together? Well, since Mr. Short and his son are so, short, the combination is close together. The diminished triad also sounds close together and clashes when you listen to it. The characteristic sound of a diminished triad is one of imminent doom and very scary. It sounds as if it can only lead to something better. So, despite all the grim combinations, needless to say, the four friends decided on the tall on the bottom and short on the top combination, or the major triad combination, in order to keep everyone safe and among the land of the living. Using this method, the four of them all climbed out of the pond to safety and started the long walk home, and they all lived happily ever after. The end.